Health with Paul Rosen.
Our diets, our Western diets in America are just really, you just don't realize how poor they really are.
What would you say to others who would like to feel better?
Sometimes you need to find the instructions. That's where the testing and everything comes in, because without that knowledge, there's no way I could have got to the point where I'm at today.
Straight talk about health.
And then I start preaching and telling them what I've been doing. And this guy named Paul Rosen has changed my life.
With your host, Paul Rosen. By the way, the information contained in this program is not approved by the FDA, nor intended to treat, diagnose, or claim to cure any medical condition or disease as defined by Western medicine. However, skilled practitioners of many disciplines have found nutrition response testing to be a highly reliable supportive technology for assessing the health and fitness of the body's functional system.
You know, Paul, I have to confess right off the bat, this morning I'm a little bit anxious, a little bit irritable, and in a little bit of a blue mood. Kind of depressed a little bit. You know why all that is? Do you know why that's happening?
You know what? I'm going to take a flyer and say I have no clue.
Well, that's good, because if you listen to the show this morning, you'll find out, because those are among our topics this morning on Health Matters. So if you're having those problems, maybe today we can help you find some solutions. How about that?
Well, that is, definitely fabulous. And I want to say right off the bat, Happy New Year to everybody out there, all listeners, friends, family, colleagues, etc. It's good to be back. 2019. I think it's going to be a very interesting year.
It will be. And also Happy New Year to you, Paul. And also, just for the record, I'm not really anxious or irritable or any of those other things. However, we'll see how the show goes. And by the end, we'll do a temperature gauge and see just where I am at that point.
Why are you scratching yourself so furiously over there?
You need to be very careful about how you phrase things, Paul. That just does not sound right. And also, before we get to irritation, anxiety, depression, how about we welcome in the new year by hearing from our friend Frontier Pete, a special New Year's edition of the Frontier Pete program.
Wow.
Okay, here we go.
A moment with me, Frontier Pete, all natural woodsman. Welcoming a new retiree to the woods, the year 2018.
Hey, Pete. Awful cold out here.
Still winter 2018.
Yeah, the reason I'm here is that I hope to retire in a nice, quiet place. Oh, sorry, it's 1943, Colin. Hello? Yes, we're still on for tonight. Fibber McGee on the wireless, yes.
Fibber McGee?
He's a little out of it, 1943.
Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, what I want out here is... Hang on, it's 1978. Hello? Yes, we've been over this. Yes, you can use regular detergent on your polyester leisure suit. Whatever.
Popular with your fellow years, are you?
I guess.
If you're happy and
It's 2019. Hello? Yeah, I know you're brand new. That's why you called? To taunt me with that? Jerk.
So where in the woods do you want to retire?
Anywhere there's no cell phone reception. Oh, 1968.
What's the hassle, man?
There's Frontier Pete welcoming in 2019.
That was definitely very, very, very exciting.
That was interesting. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
So irritation, blue moods, anxiety. I'm going to go out on a limb,
How could we even
Paul.
go there after that? It just picks you right up.
Well, I think it was, in fact, you're right. That was a very poor transition.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
There should have been some anger there.
Actually, 2018 sounded pretty irritated about these other years calling him up. So maybe there's a way for him and for others to deal with those particular conditions.
I have an idea.
Anxiety. Let's define that. What exactly does anxiety mean?
What does anxiety mean?
Well, it's a pretty broad umbrella term, don't you think?
It is. I would say, probably anticipation would be the mildest form of anxiety, where you're, you feel like you're, sort of worried or, concerned from anything like anticipation of, say, an upcoming radio show.
So what would differentiate that from paranoia?
Versus, paranoia. Paranoia would be where, you're just looking out there and everything is against you and everybody's plotting against you. And as a result, you might even need to take some some extremely aggressive actions, because of that sort of figment of your imagination.
Well, to me, paranoia seems more of a mindset, where anxiety maybe is more of a physical reaction.
No, they're both quite. I mean, they do have both physical and emotional factors, but abnormal. We're talking about abnormal
levels
anxiety.
of anxiety.
Yeah, where you feel agitated all the time, and you're hyper concerned or hyper worried, or which essentially provides some kind of screen or wall or something between you and your life. You can't get on with it.
Right. So there are all kinds of levels of that. And for example, I'm very OCD about locking my car. I'll walk away from my car and hit the lock on it, and hear the chirp and see the lights flash, and I'll be great. I'll walk into a building, stop and think for 5 seconds, walk out, and do the same thing all over again.
Yeah.
So that's a low-level form of anxiety, I think.
Well, it's concern. I mean, the difference between concern, anticipation of risk, you could say, these are all, potentially on the spectrum of, anxiety to paranoia.
And maybe related to that is irritability. So you have anxiety and irritability, and maybe the border between them is a little bit fluid. By that, I mean this. Maybe small things which shouldn't set you off do set you off.
Indeed. I mean, road rage is a perfect example. Someone cuts you off on the road, and you completely lose composure to the extent that you start chasing them, and if you happen to be carrying a gun, you whip it out and start shooting at them.
Right.
This is
well, that's a severe form of irritability.
Yeah, that is a severe form.
I think that goes into felony territory at that point.
But the human beings are complex.
And you're right about that. And I think if you're irritable, there's that extreme version where you obviously need a couple of things. You need psychiatric help, and you need to be behind bars.
No, it's much more simple than that. I mean, if
you're taking shots at other people on the freeway.
The bottom line, and that's what we're talking about right now, is what really, for the most part, is behind the overwhelming majority of people who find themselves, jumpy, too irritable, too anxious, too blue, and you knew this was going to happen from the get-go, right? It's what you put in your mouth.
Well, that's true. Your diet has a huge amount to do with that.
It was a very well-known, psychologist, psychiatrist, I don't know which, who managed to do some studies on violence.
Was it the one with the couch? That guy?
The one with the couch?
Yeah, that guy.
I don't know.
He did a whole bunch of studies on violence, you say?
Yeah. Did a whole bunches of studies on violence. And he found that a deficiency of niacin was an extreme predeterminative of someone who might experience, irritability and depression and violence.
So this may relate or not, but does niacin or a lack of niacin cause a chemical reaction in the body or the brain?
Yes, indeed. And in particular, not only the brain, but the adrenal glands. And so niacin and niacinamide B6 are extremely important vitamins to properly functioning adrenal glands. People who experience high anxiety. Where's my music from?
Your high anxiety music?
Yeah.
Well, we need the psycho sting there.
High anxiety and panic, absolutely 100% have adrenal glands that are in need of addressing.
So that is good in the sense that sounds like a very solvable problem.
People who are experiencing lots of irritability, anger, inappropriate reaction to, like the road rage thing, sort of thing, absolutely has, without a doubt, something going on with their thyroid. Let's take a look because I think this is going to be very interesting for folks. Let's take a look at the fat-soluble vitamins, which happens to be, in this particular case, I'm focusing on vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin K2, and I'm not talking about the mountain.
A, D, and K2, with all mountaineering talk aside.
Yeah.
These are vitamins that will help determine our level of anxiety or irritability.
Vitamin A is very critical to brain development, and vitamin A deficiency may lead to schizophrenia, right?
That's serious, that you would have that mental illness.
Low levels of vitamin D3 are associated with increased risk of depression and panic. Sort of two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Still, they're very serious no matter which end of that spectrum
Also
you're
involved
falling on.
in learning and memory, as well as motor control, right? There are many vitamin D receptors in the brain. Bright light going through the eyes increases serotonin production. What is serotonin? Right, serotonin is essentially, along with dopamine, satiety hormones.
Satiety hormones. Now, I know dopamine is a pleasure center. Is that true of serotonin also?
It is hypothesized that the lack of serotonin is what is the cause or at the root of people who experience excessive anxiety or panic or depression or
lack of serotonin. Mm-hmm. And you said something about light through the eyes.
Yeah. So lights. Don't you notice how, at least I do anyway, during the holiday season, there's all kinds of bright lights, different colors, right? When you experience that, how do you experience that?
Well, I experience it in a pleasurable sense.
Exactly.
Because I think they look great. What about others, though? Might that make them anxious?
No,
really? Lights actually?
Well, I mean, might that make them anxious? Anybody who's hyper anxious might get anxious about, anything. But the point is that, with respect to the sensors, the eyesight, bright lights, very nicely colored lights, have a very inspirational, pleasing effect on human beings.
So they activate those pleasure centers, and I suspect, as with me, many people have associations with those lights, Christmas lights in particular.
Well, yeah, but I'm just talking about the lights themselves. Forget the holiday per se.
Okay, so
you can have nice bright lights, different color lights shining in July, and it will have the same.
And we have this positive
impact.
Physiological reaction to that.
Indeed. So, obviously, then, what's one thing? We're skipping ahead quite a bit because I have. What's one thing you can do to potentially change your level of anxiety and blue moods and irritability? What's one thing you can do?
Sell all your furniture so you can buy more Christmas lights.
There you
and string them up all around your house.
There you go. I don't know about to sell your furniture, but you get the point.
Right. If you're on a budget.
Well, the Christmas lights right now are really cheap.
So, are you being serious? You can actually
serious.
Light up your house a little bit more,
I'm being
and
serious.
That will give you some kind of pleasure.
Yeah, I love it. I have lights in my house all over the place. My wife is fabulous that way.
Okay, but we're not talking about like harsh overhead fluorescence. You're talking about maybe artfully arranging colored lights, even in your home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Strings
of lights, little balls of lights. Little puff of light in the corner.
Well, in effect, it almost sounds like a joke, but mood lighting.
Just remember,
whatever mood you're trying to set, I assume.
Most people experience if they have vitamin deficiencies and they also have the genetic predisposition for gloominess in the winter season. Sometimes even get the label SAD, right? Seasonal affect disorder. Nothing speaks to inspiration like nicely, brightly colored lights all over the place.
One more note, you can get a free chapter of Paul Rosen's book, The Missing Piece. Just go to his website, acunatural.com, acunatural.com, and fill out the dialog box that pops up. Rest assured, no information you provide will ever be shared with anyone else. So, what are you waiting for? Get going on your personal road to wellness today.